This is the M10K battery-free graphic tablet. It comes with the tablet itself, which has 10 buttons, this rather large drawing space, which is maybe around 16 inches corner to corner, more than a foot. And we have the USB cable, which is normal USB to micro USB 2.0. It's not USB-C, sadly. And there's this, zoom. It's zooming in on my screen over here. And the button, central button. So when I use the tablet, the pen acts as a sort of mouse. So I can hold the pen close to the surface, and suddenly the mouse will appear where I'm holding the pen. So this is around, I'd say, a centimeter from the tablet itself. That might be adjustable. So when my tablet is further away from the pen than around a centimeter, nothing will happen, and then when I bring it close, I'm using the mouse and kind of moving it around. And if I want to select something, I just touch it to the tablet. That's how I navigated. Sometimes I needed to use the pad on the laptop itself just because the drivers needed to be installed, or the installation screen itself needed me to use the mouse pad directly to select it. But we're going to use these downloaded and installed drivers, and we're going to open Krita and trying to get the tablet to work with all the tools. There are 10 buttons, so I can probably map 10 tools, and we can also probably use this wheel to select along a color wheel and use the selection. So this looks like a selection and something we can map this to, and we'll try to use the pen. There's also the buttons here and there that probably zooms in and out or makes the selection larger or smaller. So let's do that, and I'll be right back. Now, I also have the Gaomon tablet application open where I'm able to map the buttons. Automatically, it's as Alt B top down, closing bracket, open bracket, F5, then you have the wheel and button, and then the bottom 5 are Control Alt Z, space, Shift plus or Shift, Control, and Alt. And I'm able to select this in the middle and change the type and the name. I can change it to Control Shift Alt plus, and then I can add any button or button combination here. Mouse button, switch button, run program. I'm not going to change anything right now. I don't want to mess with it. I should figure out my Krita program before I even figure out what to map it to. I'm not an expert. I have just downloaded Krita, and I'm sure if I knew exactly what to map them to, I would be able to go through all of these and map them to the exact short keys I would like to make them. But this is the digital pen window in the Gaomon tablet application. This allows you to tweak the sensitivity and the pressure and what the buttons do. So I'm going to say the mouse right button is the top one. That's an okay for me. And then press cancel. So the tablet here is rather large. I might even prefer it were a bit smaller just so that I can have my wrist within the radius of the screen instead of having to move my entire arm around in order to reach the top left part of the screen, the top right part of the screen, So I'm moving my whole arm here when I'd rather just have like maybe this amount so I could pivot on my arm on the table instead of having to kind of go all the way up here. I could just pivot a little bit around here. I don't know. Maybe I haven't figured exactly how to do this, and I might be doing it wrong and I need a different position, but that's just like my automatic reaction there. Here's a pressure test. That's cool. You can see how much pressure affects the tool there. We can adjust the sensitivity here, make a curve, maybe change it like that. Ooh. Pressure sensitivity adjustment. Let's see if that affects it. Let's see if we can apply. Come on. Ah, that's the sensitivity. Then we have the work arena here. Perhaps I can actually shrink the size there. So if I select this, just barely, I can change how much of the pad represents how much of the desktop area. So if I select there, it's rather difficult to get precisely. So it looks like those are not locked to the exact screen proportions. But if you know the proportions of the screen itself, you can type in the numbers as well. I don't know where the reset button would be to bring it back to the original settings, but let's hit apply and see what that does. So yeah, it does look like now the screen is within this smaller area here. Let's make it even smaller, so I barely have to move my wrist around. Let's see what that does. Apply. And now everything is in here. And I can just draw all within here. I have to be super careful, but I can make these large movements just like that. If I bring it all the way out here, it doesn't even recognize it, so I just have to stick within this area now. Or I could just bring it back to the not mess with it too much. Well, I actually do like it when it's in a small area. Maybe like that. I'm sorry, I'm just playing with this. All right, let's get on with it. This just is information about it. All right, fantastic. We're gonna open Krita, where I've already drawn this presumptuous raisin, and I can demonstrate that I can barely hold it, and then as I'm holding it more and more, it's becoming thicker and thicker. So it looks like that's a very difficult. That's very. Oh, that was my finger. Is my finger affected? Oh, it kind of just makes it jumpy. Anyway, what are my thoughts on this? I need to get better at art. But also, I like the customizability. It's a nice, large size. If you want to use the entire size, if you want to move your entire arm, you can adjust it. You can adjust every one of the buttons, and you don't have to use your mouse pad to draw. And, you know, I know the equivalent of my drawing with a pen is equivalent to your drawing just with the pad itself or perhaps a mouse, but, you know, we all got to start somewhere.
There's really a lot of details in the pen pressure that you can apply, which allows, while you are drawing, you can really add a lot of details, and the different types of pen pressures, it really shows, so you can really play with the strokes. I think it feels really nice. The tablet has a pretty clear instruction on how to install it on your Mac. They have some drivers available on the website, and after that you will be able to connect your tablet via USB cable. After installing the drivers and setting up your tablet, you have the settings menu where you can adjust the pen settings to adjust the pen pressure to your liking. For example, if you want to be able to move the cursor fast or slow. I like mine pretty fast, so this is why it's over here. Here you can configure your mouse clicks. For example, over here, you can adjust how to configure your pen. For example, mine over here is like the first click, which would be the same as your main click and the secondary click. But you can adjust it here in the menu. So you can adjust the pressure settings over here, which is also a nice feature to set up. So for example, especially if the first time if you're using it, you would like to adjust the pressures and the sensitivity. And here you have a small area where you can test out, if the pressure is to your liking. The pen feels pretty light in the hand, maybe a little bit too light to my liking, but the hold is nice and moves nicely across the tablet area. And it has a very good amount of pressure levels, meaning that it contains 8,192 pressure levels, which I think is almost the same which, for example, Wacom offers. The tilt, which it supports, is 60 degrees. And as you can see, the tablet supports 8 short keys, which feel a bit clunky, but I think having 8 short keys options is actually pretty nice. Over here, this is your short key area. Here you can adjust all the short keys, where you can apply your own custom short keys for the 8 short key buttons that you have. I use mine. Let me open up my area. So for example, if I start to draw, the way I use my hotkeys, here I have my drawing program open. Let me select the brush tool. Here you can select any kind of pens that you like. And let's say, for example, if you start to draw, and the way I use it, with shortkeys that I often use are the hand tool, which allows you to quickly move across your drawing. Another one that I frequently use is a nice feature, the back button. So for example, if you want to undo something. And another feature that I often use is the zooming button. The zooming in and out, if you want to add more details to your drawing, for example. One thing that I had some trouble with, I'm not sure if it is the settings, but especially in the beginning when I set up my tablet and started drawing with it, sometimes I notice when I come too close, basically what you can do is you can define your work area, so you have to calibrate it a little bit. I've noticed sometimes it loses that calibration or the setup. If I come too close to my window, it loses the calibration. So then, for example, the cursor doesn't really know where you are anymore and it shifts a little bit. But during drawing, actually when you are busy, you don't really notice it. I started noticing it when you swap applications and use it for browsing and stuff. Then it only picked up. So for during the drawing, it doesn't really show, but sometimes I lose the calibration a little bit. I would recommend it for digital artists because what I like most about the tablet is actually you have a really nice large working area, so it's really nice for drawing actually. I like the pen pressure, so I would definitely recommend it for digital artists who want to get to know working with pen tablets and digital drawing.